Hello everyone, and welcome to my channel. It's currently summer vacation in China. With students off school and staying at home, going to the movies has become one of the most popular leisure activities. Recently, a domestic film titled Nanjing Photo Studio has sparked widespread attention and controversy. The film centers on a theme that the Chinese Communist Party, CCP, has long and repeatedly used in its propaganda, the Nanjing Massacre, a historical event that has long been incorporated into the official narrative of patriotic education. When it comes to this part of history, there's little disagreement among Chinese people. Even those who usually hold critical views of the CCP tend to respond emotionally when the Nanjing Massacre is brought up. However, this film has not received unanimous praise. Instead, it has drawn significant criticism. Detractors point out that it grossly exaggerates or even fabricates Japanese atrocities to stir up anti-Japanese sentiment, and that the film's excessive gore is especially inappropriate given China's lack of a movie rating system and its release during the summer season when many children are watching. There's no denying that Japan invaded China, then the Republic of China, during World War II. That is an objective historical fact. But the CCP has repeatedly weaponized this history for emotional mobilization and populist manipulation. Every few years, a wave of anti-Japanese sentiment erupts in China. From boycotting Japanese goods to online calls for violent retaliation, this nationalism has, in recent years, spilled over into everyday life. Wearing a kimono, enjoying cherry blossoms, cosplaying Japanese anime characters, or even just using Japanese products can get you labeled a traitor, lapdog, or sellout. Today, let's revisit what I believe was the most destructive and shocking anti-Japanese incident in recent memory, the 2012 anti-Japan protest. This was a case where so-called patriotism spiraled completely out of control, revealing just how poisonous and self-destructive state-sponsored nationalism can become. The immediate trigger for the protests was Japan's detention of a group of Hong Kong activists who had landed on the Diaoyu Islands, followed by the Japanese government's announcement that it would nationalize the islands. These moves quickly ignited a wave of outrage across China, leading to mass demonstrations in multiple cities, particularly those with Japanese consulates. On the surface, these protests were about defending national sovereignty, but they quickly devolved into violent riots. Protesters didn't just target Japanese businesses, they also attacked Chinese-owned Japanese restaurants, shops selling Japanese goods, and even stores that merely used Japanese cultural elements for branding. In order to maintain its international image, the Chinese government deployed police to protect Japanese nationals and enterprises. But in reality, it failed to stop the mobs from acting under the guise of patriotism. The result? Countless angry citizens directed their fury not at the Japanese, but at their own fellow Chinese, smashing shops, burning restaurants, looting goods, all in the name of national pride. In Qingdao, the Jusco supermarket, a Japanese-invested chain, was ransacked. In Changsha, the Heiwado department store was vandalized. Numerous 7-Eleven stores, Sony outlets, and Canon shops were destroyed. Even more absurdly, protesters began targeting Japanese cars parked on the streets. Japanese vehicles are extremely popular in China due to their affordability, reliability, and low maintenance costs. Many are joint ventures between Chinese and Japanese firms, officially greenlit by the state. But in the eyes of angry nationalists, reason had no place. In Xi'an, a tragic case occurred. A man named Li Jianli, driving his Toyota Corolla, was surrounded by protesters. Despite his repeated explanations that the car was a joint venture model, not a pure Japanese import, it made no difference. The crowd smashed his vehicle, and one protester brutally beat him in the head with a U-lock. Li ended up bedridden for 4 years, permanently disabled. The attacker was sentenced to 10 years in prison, but had no means to compensate the victim. The government eventually offered compensation, but only on the condition that Li's family dropped their administrative lawsuit. Li Bijitan was also placed under soft surveillance for 2 years afterward, simply for trying to speak with foreign media. This was not an isolated case. In just a few days, Japanese cars were smashed or torched across the country. Protesters even dragged children out of cars before destroying the vehicles. Some 4S dealerships, car showrooms, had their doors forced open, and entire fleets of brand new cars were trashed. People wearing shirts with Japanese text were stripped on the streets. Tourists holding Canon cameras were surrounded and assaulted, their cameras destroyed. None of these events were covered in official media. They live on only in the memories and testimonies of those who experienced them firsthand. Eventually the government stepped in, and the protests were shut down. But only 11 people were sentenced for looting and vandalism. The vast majority, hiding behind the mask of patriotism, walked free. Many ordinary citizens were left traumatized. Some are still afraid to buy Japanese cars or use Japanese products, fearing another wave of Cultural Revolution-style madness. And what did the protests accomplish? Absolutely nothing. The status of the Diaoyu Islands remained unchanged. China-Japan relations did not improve. The only ones harmed were Chinese citizens, Chinese businesses, and Chinese society. Even more ironic is that this kind of anti-Japanese sentiment hasn't gone away. It has simply migrated online and become more normalized. Take Nanjing Photo Studio and another upcoming film, 731, which depicts Japan's biological warfare experiments in China. Any influencer or content creator who questions the narrative of these films is immediately swarmed with hate, harassment, and online attacks. On social media, some parents proudly post about their children's patriotic awakening after watching Nanjing Photo Studio, with kids declaring hatred for Japan and destroying their own collections of Japanese anime merchandise. It's both absurd and disturbing. Behind the slogan of remembering history, what's actually being nurtured is a new generation of blind hatred, and one can't help but ask, in 10 or 20 years, will these children become the ones wielding U-locks and attacking innocent people in the streets? Time will tell. If you found this video insightful, feel free to like, comment, and share. See you next time.